Well, hey there folks, this is Vlad with Realtor Gear, and today I want to bring you another product that I've been using for a while to show you and review. It is the likely very well known Benchmade 940 Osborne. Very popular knife. I've wanted one for a long time. Finally got one. I've had it for about a year and a half or two, and a lot of things I love about it, some things I don't like about it. So I want to share with you guys today all those things, my opinions on it, my thoughts, and just give you guys a good overview. This is specifically the REI edition, so a bit different. And if you're thinking about picking up that one specifically, this would be especially important to you. But I'll talk a lot about just the general features of the 940 Osborne as well. So let's get up close and get into it. So, like I said earlier, this is the REI specific edition. And I'm not sure if they still sell those at this point in time, when you're watching this video, but it is essentially the Benchmade 940-2. So it's the one with the G10 scales on it. So it looks exactly the same as the -1 or just the standard 940 on the outside. But the difference is it's got an open back here. So on the or the -1 or just the 940, this is solid, and it doesn't have these colored pins, but it's got like a colored spacer. So with this, it's opened. What that does is it makes it a little bit lighter. Just different style. On the 940-1, it's all aluminum handles. And I'll kind of talk about that later, about what I like and don't like about the G10. But here you go. Here's the general look of it. I've seen the 940 for a long time, and it's never really appealed to me quite as much as the other Benchmade knives. For some reason, I just never got along with the look of it. It's a little more, I don't know, in my opinion, awkward shaped. With the way that the handle is kind of rounded here and bulged out, the blade's very angled. So that's why, I didn't buy one for a very long time, thinking I just, wouldn't like it. But I always heard about how durable they were and how they're kind of just like the tank of, the Benchmade knives. So I finally saw an REI and I was like, I'll buy it and give it a shot. Since then, let's say it has grown on me. I do like the design a lot more. Still probably not my favorite design, but you can't really beat the performance that this knife has given me. So, very utility knife, not very your elegant, everyday carry knife that you would think, maybe like the Emissary or some of the other full, little more classy knives. But still looks good. Definitely more of a utility, everyday carry, woods use knife. I mean, I still carry it every day, but it's not the gentleman's knife that people sometimes want, but very, very utilitarian blade. So, great feature of it. Watch out, dog, you're gonna get cut. Hey, back up. Thank you. Great feature of it is how sturdy and strong it is. So, it's got a pretty thick blade, thicker than a lot of the Benchmades, and a very thick tip as well. And it kind of tapers down quickly to have a very strong tip. And the way it comes down from the top has a drop point, and then the curved belly here adds a lot of strength to the blade. I do love how long the blade is, and it's got a long flat piece on there, so it really lends itself well to use for slicing things. You have a lot of blade travel, so when you're cutting through stuff, you don't run out of blade, as you go up and down as your hand pulls back. Very nice, and it has a nice ridge here as well on the top, and I have found myself using that a lot more than I thought for scraping things, if you got to scrape away some rust on something or some old paint or who knows what. I really find myself using that a lot. So just a really nice all-around blade. As always, got the access lock on there, very sturdy. I have not found any issues with that. And honestly, this knife has been holding up a lot strong, a lot better than a lot of my other Benchmade knives with daily use and abuse. There's no front and back play at all. There's a tiniest bit of side-to-side play, but it's like, you probably can't even see it on the video. I doubt it. It's just like fractions of a millimeter. And it hasn't gotten any looser since I've gotten it. I didn't mess with the tension on the screw. It is still very easy to open. There's no issue opening it that way. Very ergonomic. I like that there's no extra spring in there with the spring assist, nothing to break. Just very smooth. Has the nice jumping on the back here for the thumb, and I found that to be pretty handy. It is lighter than the 940-1. I think the 940-1 with the full aluminum milled handles is like 3.9 ounces. Let me check. I think it's something like that. Sorry, 2.9 ounces for the full aluminum billet handles and 2.65 ounces for this one. So it's a little bit lighter. Is it a crucial difference? Not really. I mean, unless you're like pinching for grams and you're doing like ultralight, backpacking, then you might take that into consideration. But not a big difference. But what I do like about the G10, sorry, not micarta, G10 handles versus the aluminum handles, I do a few Benchmade knives with the aluminum handles, is that it does provide more grip than those. The aluminum handles, the way they tend to wear is they tend to smooth out over time, and when they're wet or dusty, they will be more slippery. I have not found that to be the case with this. Even when it's wet, it's very grippy. It almost acts like a file. Honestly, you can see my nail wearing off on there. So it's got that slight bit of like porous, characteristic to it. You can actually kind of see on there how there's space in it. It's not permeable to water or anything, but it's got that texture that just lends itself to be a little more grippy. And I do like that part. Like I prefer in this knife the grippy handle to the aluminum handle. It's got some jimping on the back too. If you want to do a reverse grip, you can put your thumb there. It is pretty grippy as well. Very nice. And I do like the little purple accents on this one. On the black G10, it's I think green, so a nice contrast there. Blade centering is pretty good as well. Slightly off there to the left, but just by fractions of a millimeter. Very sturdy hardware everywhere. Nice large bolt there to lock that in, and a good amount of smaller Torx on the back to keep it in. It does not have a deep carry clip, so keep that in consideration. It does sit fairly deeply in your pocket. I mean, it's about that deep. Your pants will come up almost to the very top there, but it's not going to be hidden all the way. So if you're trying to find a blade that will fully conceal in your pocket, look more like a pen, this is not it. It will show, but a very sturdy clip with 3 screws on top. Very good tension on it, very hard to pull back, so haven't had any issues with it bending out or getting loose. Though I will say, after 2 years, there is a tiny bit of play in the side to side. If you push really hard, it will move a little bit, but you can just tighten that up, and I haven't done that yet, so just something to consider. But with 3 screws there, it's going to be holding on for quite a while. So all that said, I do love the design in terms of how functional it is. It's very utilitarian. Loving it. The look still isn't my favorite. It just something about the angles doesn't quite play right with me, but I do appreciate the functionality of it. It's got a nice gripped thumb stud on there on both sides. So just overall, yeah, it looks really good. Let's talk about, though, my one complaint with the G10 handles is, I don't know if it was an oversight on the design, or maybe I'm just abusing it, I don't know, but about a week after I got it, I was holding it and it dropped out of my hand like this onto the ground, and it hit with the tip here on the concrete. So if you can see there on the very end there on the G10, it hit there and it kind of peeled and opened, and there's a tiny bit of a crack there. And I mean, it wasn't bad enough to kind of get in the way of the blade opening. So you can see there's still space between the blade and the scales. But I thought that was just kind of uncharacteristic of Benchmade to have something like that happen. And the reason I think it is there's this metal insert right in there, a stainless kind of liner, the skeleton liner inside. And it comes out here on the blade and it kind of widens out to make the grips and come forward and be part of the axis lock and everything, you know, grips front and back. But it comes so close here to the end inside of the scales, and it must sit deeper in there, that I think it was so thin in there that it just broke off, or at least cracked. So not really great thing to happen there, you know, about a week into using it, but it hasn't, you know, developed any further. It's been about a year or two or a year and a half since then. Hasn't gone any worse, so I don't know, just maybe that's just me. But the rest of the knife has held up extremely well to to daily use. I've dropped it since then. It's not really showing any signs of wear on the end here. So it's a very, very nice knife. And I definitely would recommend it. I will say, if you do want maybe some extra durability, to go for the aluminum, you know, scales, you know, you can't really deny that that's going to last forever. Eventually, you know, this will wear out. It's not invincible to abrasion and stuff like that. But all in all, pretty great. I love how it feels. I love how slim it is, even though it's got a pretty thick blade. The way they opted for the minimal liners inside makes for a pretty slim package there. So it fits pretty well in your pocket. And just a good looking blade overall, despite the funky angles. Let me show you how it sits in the pocket so you can kind of get an appreciation for that. And maybe I'll show you a little bit more of how the action works and how you can open it and stuff like that. But then we'll wrap it up. Alright, so here it is. It slides on very easily over the pants, despite the very, you know, strong clip on there. But easy, on and off, single-handed. Goes on, but as you can see, does not hide fully. So we've got the top 3 screws and the top of the knife sticking out a little bit still. Obviously you can hide it under your shirt, whatever. But there you go. Comes out easy, single-handed operation if you need it to. And it is small enough to where if you wanted to, you could throw it all the way in your pocket, and it doesn't really bulge out a whole lot. So not too bad. In terms of opening, you got the option of just using the thumb stud to flick it out, and then I like to use a pinch and then push down like that. If you want to be fancy and closey, you can just pull back the axis lock and flick it shut, or you can do the same thing to open it. Pull the axis lock, flick it. So nice action on there. Very strong, time proven there. You know, nothing to say about the Benchmade axis lock. All right, folks. Well, there you go. Hopefully that was an informative review of the Benchmade 940 Osborne -2. It kind of relates to both the -1, -2, but I do love the knife. Definitely recommend it. It is very expensive. It runs about $200 or more, $240 or so. So definitely an investment. But I do think it'll serve you for quite a lot of years. I'll have a link below to check it out if you're interested, to Amazon. As always, have a great day. Don't forget to praise God, and I'll see you next time. Over and out.